Welcome to Cannabis 360, your source for cannabis and psychedelic industry news, interviews, and insights. Visit canna360.ca and sign up to receive free access to the entire Cannabis 360 catalog. Cannabis is a crowded market in Canada, whether you're a producer or retailer. This is why having a unique business model is so critical for success. In this episode of High Fidelity, we had the pleasure of speaking with Denise Hannay and Kevin Clark of Eco Canadian Organic. Based out of Rexton, New Brunswick, we discuss Eco's path to licensing and its specialized approach to producing high-quality, organic, and pesticide-free cannabis. We also touch on their highly successful farm gate model and its unique product offerings, such as clones and cultivation equipment. Okay, welcome Denise and Kevin. How are you guys today?
We're doing really well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. So really happy that you are able to connect with me today and chat about Eco Canadian Organic. Super excited to have you here. So thank you again for being part of this. Let's start off. I just want to get a little bit of background on sort of the history and the story of Eco. How'd you guys get started? I know you launched all the way back in 2016. So yeah, Denise, I guess like how did this journey really start and like really what sort of propelled you to get started in the cannabis business? Because it's not an easy business, as we all kind of know. So what was the catalyst to this whole thing?
So we started in 2016 when the industry started to evolve. My husband and I just saw at the beginning we saw it as a business opportunity. We also wanted to explore the medical opportunity of the, you know what I'm trying to say, the plant. My husband's dad had lung cancer, so we started doing research about the benefits of cannabis. And so we did source out some cannabis oil, and we did start, giving it to his dad. Unfortunately, he was not of that age group and demographic that he felt comfortable taking it for his cancer. So we didn't pursue it, but we did know that there were a lot of medical benefits to cannabis. We met with a lot of people, and so that was sort of the beginning of our journey into the cannabis world. And then we reached out to a few consultants to build out the building for growing methodologies that we wanted to use so that we would have a medical strain. And then we sent our son out to AAPS for the quality assurance course, which was a 1-week course. And it was interesting because when he came back from his course, we were in the application process through Health Canada, and I had just received my application back, my application that was about this thick with all of the little yellow sticky notes on it. So it was, a little bit depressing. And my son said, well, AAPS helps with the application process. So I then reached out to Lolly, and from that point on, I have been, you have been part of our whole process of getting this company up and running and licensed. So thanks to Lolly and Vasiliki, we are where we are today.
Yeah, no, I know we were super happy to help out and do whatever we could to sort of guide people through that licensing process. So I know it was a really exciting, project for us, and it's a daunting task, right? And I do find it's really interesting that you come at it initially from that medical perspective. I think a lot of people sort of that's sort of their introduction to cannabis in a lot of ways, right? It's from that medical perspective. It's seeing a loved one or someone that they're related to that's going through something, and that's looking for different options and different treatment options, and turning to cannabis as a possible solution. So I think that's a lot of people's introduction to the industry in a lot of ways, and that's a common story that you hear. So it's important to remember that, I think, because it really all started in the medical market, right? And we are so recreational market focused these days, but it's important to remember sort of our roots and where we came from, right? But yeah, in terms of like that licensing process itself, I know that there's over like 800 license holders now. We were just talking about how, talking about licensing has almost become a bit passe, but in terms of like some of those challenges that you sort of face in those early days, like, because there are still people getting licensed, there are still people looking to go down this route and start their own cannabis business. So any sort of challenges that you face, during that time, and was that sort of the most stressful time? Was actually getting the license, or now that you're on the operations side, is that sort of the past, and looking forward?
Yeah. So yeah, that was the most challenging part of the industry, and getting into the industry is attaining those licenses, because you're not a business until you have your licenses, right? So, and once we opened our doors and we received our initial license, then the only way you could make money is to obtain your sales licenses. So then, it was that whole process again of, getting your medical sales license for dried flower. Then it was your extract license. So, those are very stressful times as an LP, because you have to generate revenue. So, and if I had any suggestion to someone who was getting into this industry, start that process right away, as soon as you can, because it takes a long time to get these licenses. And really, I do push people to AAPS. I've recommended AAPS to a few licensed producers, because it's really, the only way to get to that finish line effectively and efficiently without wasting a whole bunch of time. Because when you're dealing with a company such as yourselves that have done it many, many times, what Health Canada is looking for. So we don't, as business owners. We're just trying to go through the process and fill in the blanks where you have already filled in all the blanks. So yeah, that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, the regulations, right? They can definitely be daunting, and it can help to have some guidance throughout that process, for sure. And yeah, in terms of like sort of getting operational, there is a requirement to have a fully built out facility, prior to even being licensed. So once that facility was built out, what did that look like in terms of getting all of those pieces really in place, and starting to produce and starting to grow?
We were very lucky, because when the building was complete, it was really fully complete. There were no, like, a lot of LPs did phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. We didn't do that. We made sure the whole facility was complete, so that when we opened our doors on October 2nd, we brought in the plants October 3rd through our declaration, and we physically started working. We started producing and, cutting the clones and, starting production right away.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we didn't waste any time at all.
Hit the ground running, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And never stop since.
And we haven't stopped since.
Yeah. Yeah, you were just saying harvest every 17 days, so it's constant, right?
Well, and just so, for an example, our first year in business, we had 20 harvests. So that was from October to October. In that one full year, 12-month period, we did achieve what the facility was able to harvest in 1 year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And now, sort of that you are fully operational. So looking back, sort of
the progress over time since 2016. So, have you managed to develop a bit more of like a routine now, or is it sort of as dynamic as ever? I know you guys are doing a lot of exciting things in terms of like the farm gate store, the clones, which I definitely want to touch on, but just in terms of sort of like settling into that routine, has that finally happened, or are you still finding it to be sort of that dynamic environment?
Yeah, I think where we're at now is we're starting to gain more structure, and a lot of that is, like Denise was just saying, we hit the ground running, and it was about learning. I think every LP can attest and say huge learning curves. I think every day we learn something new. I always ask the staff every time they leave, what did you learn today? Because every day we learn something new. I think like part of my role as QAP coming in is, and Denise can maybe speak on it, but just from where she was to where we are now is the amount of value. Having a QA come in, govern and review and continually improve the program, the quality management system, looking for business strategies and trying to understand like where can we take this to the next level. And like a little background about myself and our connection with AAPS is I'm a graduate from the program from July 2021. And my previous experience, I worked in food and beverage, and then as well as in the liquor, spirits, and wine industry. And so what had happened is during COVID, there was restructuring in my company, and so I was downsizing my position. And I've always have had a strong passion for cannabis, and it's always been just something of my day-to-day life. And working in the wine industry, there was a lot of brands because they were in wine and they were pursuing the beverage. So I already had about 2 years of having to read legislation and provide kind of guidance to our executive team on from a quality level and a risk management level of what would be involved if we were to go that direction. That being my last company. And so when I was looking for my next steps in my career, I realized I need to enhance and complement my education, and so I joined the AAPS program and graduated, and the school helped me get an opportunity by reaching out to other LPs. And here I am today. I was hired in, I believe it was September 2021, and I can't believe it's been a year almost.
I know.
But there's only 2 days of the month that like really we focus on. It's the CRA submission and the CTLS submission. That's otherwise, who knows what day it is? 30th. Yeah. Who knows if it's a Tuesday or a Friday?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just been it's been really big to bring in that structure, especially like Denise and Brent had communicated that they're coming from a different industry, so manufacturing was a completely new light to them. And so by myself coming in, having that experience, and with Denise and Brent continuing to hire people that have that manufacturing experience coming in, bringing all that extra value, every day we're getting stronger. We're becoming more aware of what our capabilities and capacities are within our facility. And our each batch and each harvest, we're getting better and better. And it's really has been a really rewarding experience. It's a lot of hard work with a startup. As Denise can explain, it's very much, 7 days a week, 365 days, 12-hour long days. It's a big grind. But once you, complete your branding, start your marketing, start putting on quality products.
So speaking to that, actually, in terms of like that transition you made from beverage, wine industry into cannabis. So, how was that? Like, was there, and taking the AAPS program, you obviously did get some exposure in terms of sort of what to expect, but were there any surprises when you actually, finally did join the industry and start getting into the space?
Was there any surprises? I think that so the the industry and the wine industry, especially, it's very much, it's a millennial old kind of process. It's industry's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. The vines have been growing for decades, and so it's already a very polished industry, and it has a swagger to it. So coming into a brand new industry, it definitely was a major shock to me. Just looking at the types of people you're working with, the professionalism, the urgency of everything's due yesterday. So there's a lot more challenges, I would say, and I think that's just natural with any relationship, with any business, with anything new. I really feel that what kind of my focus is I do see the synergies between cannabis and wine. Like, the wine industry consumers want to know about the appellation, the vintage, the varietal, the grow method. All these things are very much similar. The romantic story and the copy. And so what we're seeing now in the market is, we met wonderful people in this industry, several of which come from the wine industry I've connected with. And they too are starting to see, let's modify labeling to be more focused as like a consumer side, where was it grown? Where are the terpenes? Who was it by? What year or month was it packaged, et cetera. So it's, we're starting to definitely see a whole wave too. And this is just 1 year being in this industry, a wave of new people coming in from other. And so I think the stigma is almost gone, in my opinion. And I think that we're starting to see a big level up and upgrade in just the overall structure, professionalism. And that's not a shot at anybody, but it was a shock to me, because I guess I was just so accustomed to dealing with, very, firm, always existing processes. And, terminology was, very French. So in a very you grew up as a child knowing what Merlot was, but I had no idea what Skittles crossed with Runts even meant.
Yeah.
So I think it was kind of a whole learning process. And but a year in, it's been a day-to-day part of my life, and I'm really starting to understand and respect why it started in a very humble beginning. So it's definitely been a shock, Connor, and I'm sure Denise probably has something to say about that.
Yeah.
Well, that brings up, what you, an interesting point that you just mentioned, which is sort of like the story, the background, but behind the product, right? And wanting to know the appellation and all that. And I think that's huge in cannabis as well. And that's sort of the connection that I see also, and sort of the relationship there. And that's where I think eco is really interesting. I think you guys have taken a really unique approach in terms of your cultivation methods. It's really exciting to hear that you're sort of refining things all the time and each harvest. And I think that's so important for producers. So tell me a little bit about that strategy and that approach, and sort of what was the reasoning behind wanting to make sure everything was organic, as clean as possible. I know you guys are really big on not using any pesticides or anything like that, no additives. So tell me a little bit about that and sort of how that came about and why you decided to go, in that direction really.
I'll start off by saying when we first decided to go into this industry, we really wanted to focus on the medical industry. So we wanted to grow an organic product, a very clean product. So that was the main reason we focused on being organic, and we were very confident that we were going to stay that route. And we even named our company Eco Canadian Organic. So we knew we weren't going to stray from that focus. However, in this industry, as in order to generate revenue, you have to play in the rec market as well. So we have both. So we do sell to the rec market as well as the medical market. But as far as the growing,
our grow methodologies, we use regenerative organic living soil as our medium. And we actually source, and part of our name being eco, we source our water from our very own well that is on our property. and it's an artesian flowing well, and the plants love it. It's cold. The water is certainly cold, but they absolutely love it. We've had no issues whatsoever regarding any contaminants or whatever that may be. And we have a state-of-the-art lighting system as well. And the most important ingredient that we do add is love. We give these plants an incredible amount of attention. Every single day, each and every single plant is touched, and it is inspected, and in some cases spoken to.
Yeah.
So it's been a really it's really simple, Connor. We do not have any other inputs. We're herbicide, pesticide, chemical, supplement, nutrient-free facility. Our approved chemical list.
I would say we're the only one in Canada.
If from feedback we've had, it's sounding like that. And our approved chemical list is Shield Wipe and Javax, and that's it.
We had a Health Canada audit when Kevin first got here. God love him.
My first week.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, it was right in October.
Right.
So I remember, part of the call, they were from Winnipeg, and they had audited how many? 300? 200?
Yeah, over 200. They said. Yeah.
So and they kept asking us about our approved list of chemicals and pesticides, and we kept saying we don't have any. And we did the walkthrough of the facility, and they asked again, and they told us at the end of our audit that we were the first of the ones, all of the audits they had performed, we were the first that has nothing on property. So
That's amazing.
And it is amazing.
Yeah,
it really is.
It stands to the testament, as well as our sanitization program. We've received several accolades within the industry of just the attention to detail of cleanliness. If you were to come here, I like kind of like saying it looks like you're about to enter a surgery room because it's so clean. We take a lot of value in that. The best way to explain it is it's kind of like we have no defenses for the plant outside of our integrated pest management program. And so realistically, our biggest threat to us is people. So we do have a very strict and enhanced hygiene program, as well as a sanitization program for anybody who's coming on site, which includes our own staff. Because we are the greatest threat to the plant. So if in the event we do have some sort of outbreak of a disease, which hasn't happened,
Right.
then we essentially destroy the whole room, because we will never introduce any other product into it, because that's not our MO, and it's certainly not something that we even have an SOP to do. So it's
we're the type of people or business people that if we don't know something, we're not afraid to ask. And I think Vasiliki and Lolly would be very proud of us, because we do follow everything that they have taught us, and the SOPs that she has helped us create, and I remember her telling us, Denise, you really need a QA. I had a virtual QA, and I didn't realize how much I needed a QA until Kevin came on board. And once he was here, it just all fell into place. And so I can't stress that enough. An LP cannot function without a QA. It's like a physical QA, not these virtual QAs that, and so we were extra lucky because we have a QA who's passionate about the industry. So I think that if a company can find a QA that has both of those attributes, then they'll succeed.
Yeah, such an important role. And I know when you reached out looking for that QAP, like I know we were, more than happy to recommend Kevin as one of our top students. And it's funny that you guys mentioned sanitation, because when I first got into the industry, that was probably like the most eye-opening thing when I started working at a facility. Like I really didn't realize like how much sanitation was sort of part of the process. And you sort of kind of think like, oh, I'm going to go grow weed and I'm going to be around plants and it's amazing. And it is, but there's so many other things to factor in. And the testing requirements are very strict in Canada. And so in order to meet those requirements, it's so critical to have that sanitation program in place. And like oftentimes when I'm talking about the sanitation course that we have at AEPS, I sort of do present it as like the driest like course that we offer, right? But definitely one of the most important ones. Yeah, and of course, Kevin, you were loving every second of it because you do have such a strong understanding of the importance of QA and how critical of an aspect that is. But I think it's definitely not something to overlook, right? Sanitation is so key. And I think it really does tie in really well to your focus and what you just said. It's like you have your IPM management system, but humans are the greatest threat to that. And if you aren't going to be using any of these chemicals or pesticides or whatever it might be, then it's really important to have that dialed in, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of, you mentioned sort of having to be in the recreational market. You do have that medical focus still, which I love. But in terms of like entering the recreational market, what has that process been like? Because I think that's something that a lot, especially new like cultivators and processors that are looking to really enter the industry may not necessarily have that much of an understanding of in terms of like dealing with the different provinces. So what has that been like for you guys? Has it been fairly easy to get your product into the market, or has that been also a pretty big challenge in itself?
That's been a challenge in itself. Getting into New Brunswick, not a problem.
Not a problem, yeah.
Not a problem. The other maritime provinces, they only accept so many applications at a time. Ontario, we all know how hard it is to get into Ontario. Saskatchewan, not as difficult. So yeah, the challenges and the paperwork and all the red tape to get into the different provinces is very challenging. So our focus has been New Brunswick because they're our bread and butter. And then we also have our farm gate store, which we're so excited and very lucky to have. And we do a lot of B2B sales, which has been great. So we have a really good relationship with a few other LPs, and therefore they distribute our product into OCS, into Saskatchewan, Australia. So we're very lucky that we have that relationship with a trusted LP here in the Maritimes.
That's amazing. I didn't know you guys were doing, well, I know you were doing a little bit of B2B, but I didn't know like Australia was part of, is that fairly new? Like when did that come about?
It's been what, February? Yeah.
Okay, so we're pretty new, yeah. That's exciting.
Well, I think one of the unique things about the products at Eco Canadian Organic is not only do we cultivate an organic method, but our product's non-irradiated, which is still something I think there's a level of education that still needs to go out to the industry. To consumers. It's still not something I think people are aware of and what that means and the quality that it stands behind. One of the things that, as a quality person, I'm most proud of is our facility. We do have a state-of-the-art HVAC systems where we have each HVAC is dedicated to each flower room. And that gives us an incredible amount of power to control the room and to essentially be God and to mitigate any type of issues that may naturally evolve during those 60, 70 days in which the plants are in those flower rooms. So I think that for us, we're just, from a quality perspective, our non-irradiated organic product, it's perceived on a global level as a pharmaceutical grade. And
our
so
micro.
in our micro, like one of the things I'm most proud about my team is that we're producing C of A certificates that have less than 10 microbials. So it's which means it's not even detected. It's unheard of. You could absolutely take a alcohol and wipe a surface of an area and you'll still get more than 10 microbes on it. So it's something that our consumers are definitely valuing, our clients are certainly valuing. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's we're providing a product that's so unique, and it's also clean, green, organic certified, which then further allows that consumer to know that we can stand behind our organic certification and our methodologies, so that when they are consuming our product, they know that it's as clean as nature had intended it to be.
Absolutely. It's definitely a differentiator, right? I think it does make it really unique. And I think what's really cool, to bring it back what Denise said earlier, it's like this was part of your strategy from the very start, right? So it's really cool to see that you sort of stayed in line with that idea, with that mission, you know? So that's really cool. And, you know, I really like, I'm kind of, as sort of like a market, I am really interested in New Brunswick, because I do feel like they're one of these unique provinces that are sort of like, I don't know, like it's just amazing to hear that it was really easy to sort of get your product in the market there, first of all, right? And then the whole farm gate store, right? Like when they announced that, it seemed like they were like, all right, you know what, we're gonna do this. We're not going to put a ton of red tape around this. We're going to make it easy for everyone. And like, I feel like you guys sort of got this done in like a really, really quick turnaround, you know? So tell me a little bit about that process, because I want to come check it out. Like, absolutely, if I'm ever on the East Coast, I will be there. And then I know you guys are offering clones as well, which is super cool. So, you know, that farm gate process, am I right in assuming that that was like a quick turnaround on your end, that there really wasn't that much red tape that New Brunswick put around that? And so tell me a little bit about that process.
Yeah, I think we started it in early October, and I think the day that it put in legislation, I believe it was Brent Denise who contacted and said, when can we sign? So I know we were the first to sign the agreement, and then essentially that gave us the ability to, okay, we need a store. We need to build in the store. We need to put product in. And there was one major constraint around having a farm gate in New Brunswick, which is the flower must be grown and harvested in New Brunswick. So for those that know, there's around 20, 30 LPs in New Brunswick, and only so many of them have sales licenses. So so for us, like, we couldn't really work with many of them, and so we had to start off in a humble position of offering one genetic. Which was our flagship genetic, is the Deadhead OG. And it's very humbling. And so by, I believe it was December 15th, we opened up the doors, and we're very happy to open the trading post, which we felt tied into not only the culture of Canada, but also the culture of cannabis, which is in New Brunswick, which is we're open. We want to trade with you. It's pioneering because it's never been done before. And it gives a little homage to like history as well with the Acadians. And so what has happened since is we were 3-4 months in, we maybe had 1 or 2 customers a week. And a big day for us is we have 2 customers in a day. And so we realized we're like, with all the restrictions of advertising and promotion, and we live in a very humble town of 800 people in Rexton, New Brunswick. We said, okay, let's offer something else. And we said, why don't we offer the Deadhead OG clone? And that blew up like we would have never imagined. Really? I'll tell you this much, the whole Kent County, which is the region in here in New Brunswick, everyone has our product. We've sold a couple thousand clones at this point. And we do offer another genetic, cherry blue fritter liquor. And that really put us on the map, Connor. And it really, people got to see the plants. Like, you can't go anywhere in Canada to a retail space and purchase a plant. And then they got to not only see or purchase one, they got to see 100 on a rack or 200 on a rack. And they got to select which one they wanted. And it was really, really exciting from a consumer perspective. And of course, what happened right away is they're all off the shelf. And you can only produce so many clones from a mother about every 2 weeks. So we were taking pre-orders of 300, 400, 500. orders every other week. So it's been really exciting. These people come in and want a clone. You know what? I can't get one. So you know what? I'll buy some of your flower. And then that introduced them to our product, and they right away were like, I like this experience. I like how I'm supporting a private company, the Hannah family, like how I instead of like supporting the government per se, is how it's still perceived out there. So it's been really exciting. We're continually to expand our farm gate. There's going to be more opportunity for us to have more product listings. I think currently right now we have 13 products in our store. And I think the most rewarding part of it is where Denise and my office is. We have a window to the parking area of our farm gate, and just to see the cars, it's like every 10 or 15 minutes. And what's more important is you see the car coming, but the smile on their faces when you see people leaving, and like because we control the business, we control the pricing and we control like how the interaction is. And it's been really exciting.
It is, yeah, because we're finally being able to showcase who we are in our product. And, so that's very important for the consumer. They have that personal touch, and it's like a winery, really, that whole experience. People want that.
Right.
So, yeah.
And we couldn't do it without Danica Robichaux, who you can find on LinkedIn. She's our store manager. We actually plucked her from Cannabis Envy, and she was the 2021 Bud Tender of the Year for New Brunswick. So we're really blessed to have such a strong team, and she's been incredible, being able to educate and work with her clients and bring in her own clientele. And so she's having a lot of fun, and I think we can say at Eco, this is kind of phase one.
Yeah.
From where we are now and where we're going to be going.
For the farm gate store, absolutely. There's some big things coming up for that store.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. That's amazing. Like, it truly is pioneering, I feel, and which you sort of mentioned as part of the theme as well. So I love that. And it really is fascinating because being here in Ontario, it's like there are some farm gate models, but really, like, I don't know of personally anywhere where I can walk in and grab clones, right? And I think it deepens that connection as well with your business as well, and with what you guys are doing in terms of like the products that you are making, and it creates that deeper connection. And yeah, as someone who like would like to be more of a hobby kind of grower, like I think that is sort of at least a gap that I'm feeling, where I would just feel a lot more comfortable and confident being able to just like pick up a clone, at the start of like the summer, and test my hands with that and start off that way. It gives you like just a little bit of a leg up, right? Because it can be a bit of a daunting thing to like sort of jump right in straight from seed, right? So getting a bit of like that head start can go a long way, I feel, for people. So and it's really cool too that sort of they're complementing each other. So the clones are sort of leading to people seeing your product offerings in the dried flower or whatever category it might be, and then that's driving people to actually come to the farm gate store in itself. And so yeah, I mean, it's just amazing to see that like this business model has really paid off for you guys.
Well, and the evolution as well, Connor, is first it was just a plant, and then we're thinking, people like, well, how do I grow it? And I'd say for 50% of our people, they've never grown before, our customers. So then after a month or so, we're like, hey, how about you grow it in the same soil that we use? And so we started selling our own soil.
Really?
And then it's like, well, how about we sell some pots? So we started selling some pots, and then we started providing education just recently. We're working with GrowDoc to be able to provide them with a software application so that it's kind of a one-stop shop. Get your plant, get your soil, get your pots, and then if you have any questions on growing, download the app. So we didn't really see the business evolving like that, but we kind of turned into a little garden center.
Yeah.
On the side, and like we are the home of the clones. So we're the first retailer in Canada to sell clones, and I think the opportunity, like you were saying earlier, the whole farm to table model is I love it twofold. One with the
So fresh.
one with the clones is like Denise was saying, we can package product and then that same day bring it, like literally walk it right to the store.
Yeah.
So for instance, we just have a brand new product we pre-rolled on Friday, and by Friday at 4 o'clock, it was in the store. So you look at the package date, it's the same day. And you know, it just, you don't get hung up with your product sitting in the vault or waiting to find a PO, or, you know, how it sits in a warehouse for 2 months before it gets distributed on shelves. And that's what our clients are really enjoying. They come in, they see it, they want it.
Yeah.
And the other thing, the other part of that is the clones is, you know, like we take the clone and we transfer it from the bedroom or through the vaults, from the bedroom to the store. So, and then it's gone within a half hour, an hour when people come pick it up. So it hasn't been sitting around or anything, but part of the ability for ECO to do that is under Health Canada regulatory, a clone must be pesticide, herbicide, and chemical free. So because we're clean green certified, because we can demonstrate our track record of through all of our C of A's since we opened our doors, that our product it meets those criteria, it gives us that rare ability to be able to do that. So
Because other LPs would have to send their clones out for testing. Each
Yeah.
batch.
right,
We don't have to do that.
correct.
Really? Okay.
So it gives us immense flexibility.
Yeah, that's so. I mean, I love the fact that it's sort of expanded into the. It's funny how things become a bit full circle, right? Like I think the sort of traditional like cannabis retail environment, you know, prior to legalization was sort of like a mix of accessories and garden center, right? And so it's sort of cool that this is sort of like finally coming to the legal industry as well. And I think ECO does really provide one of these examples when we talk about like cannabis tourism and like the farm to table model. Like you guys are really, I think, the quintessential example of that, right? And I love the point about the freshness of it, because I think that is, you know, probably in the top 3 complaints in terms of like legal cannabis products is essentially the packaged on date, right? And we all know that like the packaged on date isn't necessarily always, you know, the reflection of the freshness of the product necessarily, but I think just like based on the business model that you have, it really like it gives you even more confidence that that's the case, right? And so that's absolutely like amazing, truly, honestly, so cool. Yeah.
And it's a cool engagement because like we're very friendly, the staff here, and or as are the people of New Brunswick. But like they love the interaction where like if I'm walking near the store and a customer's leaving, and I'll engage them and they start talking that, oh, so you work in quality, tell me about this, what do you do here? And it's just it gives that extra level. So it's really exciting.
Telling that deeper story, right? Exactly.
Right.
Now, in terms of sort of like next steps and some exciting things coming on the horizon, anything, I know you guys have like a new genetic that you're running. So yeah, tell us about that. Like what's sort of coming up that people can look forward to?
Well, one of the things that is going to be coming up in the future is the expansion of our storefront. We're going to be able to offer more product to the end consumer. And we're going to end up physically expanding our farm-gate store. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, and we have a very exciting genetic that we worked with in collaboration with another LP. Its name is Dirty Banana, and we started. I think we started in December, and by the time we got, you know, cultivating and going into, I think it was April, our first batch there, and we are very extremely excited to say that it was the highest producing organic product in the history of the world. So we didn't just crush or beat the record by a shade, we crushed it by several percent. And it's really put us on the global map, not just on the regional or national. We're getting a lot of attention, and because everyone's kind of like, how is that even possible using organic methodology? And it's a testament to our facility, people, and processes.
Yes. And even today, when we spoke with the king of cannabis, he was very surprised at our genetic and how well it was doing at the organic level. Yeah.
So it's really exciting. We know that consumers are going to become more savvy and have more awareness with what does organic mean. I think that's kind of one of those things like what is in your egg, what is in your bread. People freaked out about what's in Subway bread, but when are people going to start understanding what's in cannabis? And I think that that's where we're differentiating ourselves, and we're, providing a clean, very organic, natural as possible product. So it's exciting. This is the Dirty Banana. You can find it at our Farmgate Trading Post retail store. We have it both in pre-roll and in 3.5 flower. And it's also available at Cannabis NB as well, in the 3.5 and pre-roll.
Okay, so it's already out.
It's out, and it's being and it's on OCS as well under a different LP.
Okay. Do we want to give them a shout out at all for the people in Ontario so they can find it?
It's East Cam, and
East Cam, cool.
They've been putting out the product. I think we just dropped off a shipment to them as well last week, and so everyone in the Ontario market, keep on going for it. We're excited to have you try our product. And like I like to say, don't panic. It's organic.
Yeah, and I know there's like a warning, clocking in at 35% that it is strong. So
it's strong.
So yeah, be careful. Yeah.
even the seasoned vets like myself, it's just it's a doozy. So like I like to say, it's kind of like a bottle of beer before you. It's not a bottle of beer you have before you go anywhere. It's kind of one of those things where you have a puff and then put it out.
Yeah.
it's a beautiful product.
And I'm a lightweight. So
yeah. Slow and steady, even if it's not normally that's reserved for edibles, but it applies for the dried flower too, right? So
and that's the market as well, Connor. It's just like Denise has mentioned, we listen, and we're modifying our labeling, our packaging. We're always constantly listening to ultimately the end user. And a big driver right now, as the trend is terpenes and THC. So if that's what it is to be successful, we definitely want to offer, a range of products of organic product. We have the cherry glue, which comes in the mid-20s. We have the deadhead that comes in lower 20s. And then we have our dirty that's in our 30s. So we're really excited to have these product offerings, and we're excited for the feedback that we've been receiving from our consumers and industry.
That's wonderful. I love to hear that you're listening, you're iterating on that feedback that you're getting. And I really love too that you support your team. I think you both mentioned a couple of times like the great team that you have behind you that's contributing to this. So I think that's so important as well to give them their flowers also, and to recognize that this is a team effort, right? And love the approach that you guys are taking. I think you're right. Like education on sort of what's in your cannabis is so important, and taking that organic approach, I think does make you guys stand out in a really unique way. And I just love sort of the creativity, right? And the kind of thinking outside of the box that you guys do, I think is really, really interesting. And I think it's definitely something worth taking note of. So, congratulations on all your success. Kevin, as one of our, like I said, top graduates, it's so cool to see the success that you've had in the industry since joining. And Denise as well. Honestly, it's amazing what you've built and what you've done. And thank you for always being a supporter of AAPS. We really do appreciate it.
Like I said, we honestly would not be here without AAPS.
That really does mean so much to us, and I'll make sure to spread the love to our team and let them know. I know that they'll appreciate it. And Facility says hi, Lale says hi. So I told them that we were chatting today. And it's honestly, it's been amazing chatting with you guys, and let's connect again soon.
Thank you so much for this. This was great.
I love it. All right. Well, have a great day, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.
Great, thanks, John.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of High Fidelity. For access to the entire Cannabis 360 catalog, subscribe at canna360.ca or visit our YouTube channel, Canna360.